What's going on, everybody? StevenBearKing here with another episode of Live Chess here on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining me. I am, of course, on the Live Chess server on chess.com, and we're going to get a d4 opening this game. Let's see if we can keep the momentum up from the last few games, the last few videos. Uh, see if we can get some things going on. And e3 in this kind of position isn't exactly the most ambitious line, but it is played a lot. And let's see, how do we want to develop? Can we push an e5 right away? I'm not too sure that we can. But it's always good to just bring your knight closer to the center, maybe overprotect it with the rook. And then this might turn out to be kind of like a different line than what I would usually play in this, just because my opponent's playing a little bit different than some of the main lines that I try to get into when I'm playing this. But it should be quite fine. I'm going to go ahead and recapture with my knight to keep this diagonal open for my bishop. Usually this bishop in these lines are kind of stuck behind in this kind of a position, so it should be okay to have my rook out for a moment. We could always drop it back later. And then hopefully we'll be able to bring some pressure down on this file over here. So let's go ahead and try to gain like a little tempo on the queen maybe. If he just blocks it with this pawn, I'll bring my bishop back and consider that I made a little bit of a weakness, but instead my opponent's going to go ahead and give me the queen, and that's going to end the game. We'll go ahead and offer him a rematch and see if he wants to make up for his little bit of a blunder there. No, he left the chat, so council will find a new game real quick. And so that's a little too easy. One game down, a little easy. See if we can go ahead and get one more. This opponent's a lot higher rated than the last opponent, so he should put up a better fight. Not that my opponent did a good job. Mistakes happen in chess. I've made plenty of them myself. And we're going to go into this little bit of an end game here, which I don't mind doing at all. A little bit slower chess, but I don't have a big problem with that. I can be very patient in a chess game and things like that. So we're going to go ahead and try and get our pieces going. And it looks like we might be able to get our knight, but let's go ahead and castle and get our rooks going. And he wants to trade bishops. Doesn't seem like I'm going to have too much of a choice. But that should give me some opportunities on the light squares. Going to bring his king up a little bit into a better position, but maybe we can use that a little bit against him as we bring our rooks onto this open file quickly. That's still guarded by my knight, so we're not going to protect that right away. I could have protected it just to keep him coming out of this square and getting a tempo on my dark squared bishop. But we've pushed his dark squared bishop back a little bit, and he stopped me from going to the square that I wanted to go to, but let's see, what can we do to get something going in this position? Not a whole lot. Looks pretty equal. Let's see. Would be nice to get my knight into a better square. Like maybe something like this square over here, which we can get to in a few jumps. Let's try that. Sometimes if you don't have a sure clear plan, just bringing your pieces to better squares can do the trick sometimes. We'll go ahead and recapture if he's going to trade rooks down the file. I don't mind. I just want to keep the file to myself. And so he's going to stop that plan as well. He's doing a good job is making sure that my plans don't go through completely, but let's see if that helps us out any. Not a whole lot. Well, let's see. His his pawn is on a dark square here, and so maybe if we trade the knight for the bishop, maybe we could play a classic bad bishop against a good knight. But this knight's not great right here. It would have to come back around somehow. Let's see. What to do, what to do. So I think we should go with the original plan and maybe trade this bishop for this knight and then push again, and that should open up the squares for us. So let's go ahead and we're going to make this trade right away. Don't know that it's the best, but at least we have a plan, and when you have a plan, that gives you a chance to learn from your game, because you can figure out if your plan was good or if your plan was bad. And he is going to find himself a little bit better of a square for his bishop. So we're probably going to have to take and then give ourselves some room, because if he comes in, dominates over on this side of the board, then yeah, it's going to be pretty hard. So he's trying to get his pieces going, but I don't want to allow him to trade in a favorable manner. But now we're in a king and pawn ending, so we'll see the truth in this position now. It's got to be either good or bad for one side or the other. So let's see, where are passed pawns going to be made? He wants to go and make a passed pawn on that side of the board. I can see that. I'm not doing exactly the best on the clock here either. But we're going to come to this side of the board. And we're going to push. So that way if he trades, we can come up. If he pushes, we've closed down this side of the board a little bit more. And that would leave me an escape route into the position. So let's also go ahead and see, this is scary because king and pawn endings are quite a thing. They're a very concrete thing, and if you make a mistake, it can be all bad. And so we kind of want to just see, that probably wasn't the best trade. Probably wasn't the best trade for me. But let's go ahead and try to get our pawns in a different situation here. And I think we're busted. I'm pretty sure we've lost this position. It's not looking good. But we'll see. And that gives us the outside pass pawn. His king's pretty far away from that. So we should be okay. We should be okay, I believe, to at least get a draw. We're going to just push his king as far away as we can while he's chasing this pawn. And then come back around to this side of the board, shoulder his king out, and come over this way. And we take that pawn. Now he's shouldered us out. And we want to come this way. And luckily, I think what we should have here is a draw. Not 100% sure. Sometimes the first one to get their queen is the winner, so... And let's see, he can't quite push yet, so we're going to come up with the king. And then we want to... let's see. We can give a check from over here. And we can give a check from down here. And that's going to be the draw. So, good game to our opponent there. That's going to be our 2 games for this episode. We got 1 win and 1 draw. Looks like my opponent wants a rematch, so let's go ahead and rematch one more time real quick. See what happens. See which one of us can get the better out of ourselves here. And not going to try anything fancy. I'm just going to try to play really quick so that way the episode doesn't go on way too long. I don't mind if he doubles my pawns because we're playing something different. Playing something different here. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and well, let's see. We could do it like this. Not the prettiest opening. Like I said, just trying to play fast, not trying to play anything fancy. And then if he wants to trade queens here, I think we'll be okay. Because now we can bring our king out over to this side of the board. Let's see. What does his knight want to do right there? Well, if we can get our pawns moving by torturing him a little bit, he can go to that square. But I don't think he's forking anything. Knights can be tricky. You gotta watch out when it comes to knights. But we definitely want to get our pieces going as quickly as possible, so we don't mind if he's not threatening anything to just let him go and do his thing. He's going to protect that pawn, but we want to get his knight out of there. And we're going to go ahead and put some pressure on those pawns that are moving. And let's see. If we bring our bishop out this way now, his knight's kind of on the side of the board there. And let's see. Let's see. We'll bring our rook up a little bit. Well, that just allows him to go with a tempo. So it wasn't exactly the best idea. We're just going to have to admit our mistake and go back. Yeah, that's not dropping a pawn yet, so admit our mistake, retreat backwards. It would be nice to get our bishop going somehow. This dark squared bishop here. But let's go ahead. I think we can bring our knight, get our bishop to a little bit better square, get our other rook developed, get our pieces into play. That's what we need to have happen. So that's what we're going to go ahead and try to do. You can't win chess games without using your pieces, especially if you're down a pawn out of the opening. Never a good thing. And so he's going to be putting some pressure down on this guy here. But we'll go ahead and just advance him forward some. And let's see. So if we come here, we gain a little tempo on the rook and also kind of move his knight, but he wants to go ahead and move his pawn there, which I don't mind because that kind of weakens his pawns over on that side of the board. And we just want to keep everything kind of nice and tight here on our side and let him keep making weaknesses on his side. Still need to get this rook over here into the game. Oh. Didn't realize I was compromising my pawn structure and losing another pawn by leaving my piece there. But that's what I was doing. So we're going to try to bail out of this just a little bit. Damage might already be done because these pawns over here are just killing me. Just killing me. And he's also killing me on the clock. Let's take a little bit of sip of coffee. Let's see. So that knight's a little bit pinned now. Let's see if he forgets about that. No, he's just forking a bunch of my rooks here, which is not the best. Not the best at all. Well, let's get this over with quickly then, since we're just going downhill. And yeah, we got creamed. Definitely got creamed. So let's go ahead and resign. We'll show you what's going to happen. I'm losing a piece either way. Either my rook or my bishop now. And so if I take here, he takes back with the rook. If I retreat my bishop to a safe square, he takes back with the knight. There's no tricks in the position that are going to save me from that. So that's why we're going to go ahead and hit the resign button, tip our hat at our opponent. We give him a wag of the finger like Stephen Colbert would for taking us down in that best 2 out of 3 between me and him. So good job to my opponent. He's already left the chat, but thank him so much for joining us. Thank you guys so much for joining me here on YouTube. I hope you enjoyed the episode, a little bit longer episode than usual, so hopefully you guys like that. If you did, go ahead and hit the like button. I really, really do appreciate it. It helps me out a lot when you do that. So thank you once again. Hope you guys have a great day. Peace.